Hello, my name's John, this is White Dwarf issue 129, and you're watching Wargames, Models and Other Hobbies. Hello and welcome to this video. Today I'm going to be doing a kitbash, a conversion that was inspired by the cover of this White Dwarf. Now, over on my Twitter and Blue Sky account, every day I post a random White Dwarf cover from my collection, showing off the artwork over the years. This one was one of the random White Dwarfs from last week, issue 129, and it has the Inquisitor in Terminator armour on the front cover. Now, with the recent upscaling of Space Marine Terminators, it has actually left me with quite a few Terminator kits and Terminator parts, which now don't quite necessarily fit the stature of the modern Space Marine. But what I did realise when posting the picture of this cover is those Terminator suits fit perfectly for the more standard human. So I thought it'd be quite nice, inspired by this cover, to create a kitbash, a conversion of an Inquisitor. So I started getting the bits together. So far I've got a few things. So I've got some legs from the old Terminator kit. I have already scraped away some of the iconography from the kneecap of this one. I also have the back of a Terminator suit of armour from the Deathwing Terminator kit. Reason why I've chosen this one is because I like the kind of the Gothic arch style vents that are on the back of it. Another bit of work I've done on this so far, I've trimmed away some of the plastic where the head sits in. The reason being, it then allows this front section of a different Terminator kit to fit onto it. So I have a few different parts from different kits. Like I said, I've done a few little bits already to two of the parts. But other than that, the whole of this video is going to be the real-time conversion, real-time kitbash of this model inspired by this character. So to get started, what I'm going to do is put the body together, and then from all of the other parts I've got a big pile of sprues just over there. I'm going to put this together and see where it goes. So to start with, like I said, let's stick this together. Now, one thing I will do before I stick this together is I'm going to trim off the little sensor light section from the top of this to match the artwork. So this artwork itself was drawn by Fangorn for, I think it was the front cover illustration for a novel. Let's have a quick yeah, there we go. So the cover, Inquisitor by Fangorn, the cover to Inquisitor, the first Warhammer 40,000 novel by Ian Watson, opening episode in the Inquisition War series. So that's where this cover comes from, using it as inspiration for this. So let's just tidy this up. Now, my aim with this conversion is to do as little as possible. I'm just using loads of spare parts, kit bashing it together, converting it however you want to say it. It's kind of more of a kit bash than a conversion because all of the parts are from different kits. Okay. But yeah, what I want to do is create this character in Terminator armour, which allows a more human scale Terminator, works with this artwork as an Inquisitor, as Inquisitors, most Inquisitors are just humans. I am tempted as well, possibly, to recreate this whole cover. So there is Imperial Guard, there's some Space Marines, there are some other characters. I haven't read the novels myself, so they must be very specific characters. Does look like an assassin, there are some squats, but we'll see down the line whether or not I do make the whole cover. Okay, so I want to get this onto the legs. Now, one thing I have thought about with this, obviously Terminators as standard, Space Marine Terminators, sit on a 40mm base. But I think that wouldn't work with this model now. So I'm going to go for a 30mm base, which I think is more fitting for the size. So as an example, while this glue dries, there is a 40mm base, there is a, it's 31mm base, I call them a 30mm base. So at the moment, when that Terminator sits on there, it does kind of get lost on the base, whereas on that size I think it works a lot better. So I will, when I finish this conversion, mount it on a base like this. So let's have a look. The first thing I want to do, I've already got an arm from the Deathwing kit that is going to become the right arm of the model, holding a combi weapon. So let's glue that in place. So some of the parts that I've kind of found for this already come from the standard, well now discontinued Terminator sprue, the Grey Knight sprue and the Deathwing sprue. And what I am trying to do with this one is actually get the pose as close as possible to the original, although there are going to be some slight differences. Depending on how long this video takes, I may not complete the conversion in this video, I may just do the basics. But now I've got that shoulder, that arm in place, I'm going to use a shoulder pad, and the one I found is from the Deathwing kit, which is an angel with a shield and the sword. I am going to have to do some green stuff work on the sword so it doesn't have the break in it, but I think it's close enough to the artwork, which has got what looks like a winged character in black with a hammer, but it does look like there's a shield. It's, well, actually not necessarily wings, but there's a shield or something there, but I think close enough for this homage would be this shoulder pad. So I'm happy with sticking that one on. And depending on how long this conversion takes, like I said, it will depend if this becomes a two-part video. I'd like to do it as one part, but also give you an idea of the amount of time it takes to do a simple kit bash conversion. You don't have to spend a great deal of time on it to get a really nice effect. You can do it quite quickly if you've got the parts available to yourself. Okay, right, I'm happy with that. And while I'm here, I'm going to get the bottom part of the combi weapon and stick it on. So we have here, I think this is the Space Marine Tactical Squad sprue. Obviously lost lots of bits, but I still have the combi weapon on here. So the lower part, which is the bolt gun, I'm going to trim that off to stick in the hand. Now the top of the combi weapon on this artwork looks like it's going to be the old school Psy Cannon from Warhammer 40,000, which I think the actual Inquisitor model that was released that matches this, or is very similar to this, has. But as I don't have a Psy Cannon, I'm going to put something on that looks very similar. Whether or not I'm going to have to convert it, I'm not sure, but because I've got loads of bits of combi weapons that match this base, I can stick this on already, knowing that it's going to kind of work. So the key thing, already found a bit of a problem, is the back of this bolt gun means that this hand rises up a bit too high, so I'm going to have to trim a little bit of that back so I can actually mount the gun. So it shouldn't make too much of a difference to the weapon itself. It's quite a distinct weapon anyway, so it doesn't matter if it looks different from a standard bolt or combi weapon. That's better, okay. So apologies if this goes off camera. I'm looking underneath my camera and every so often looking up at the screen. Turn that slightly. Okay, let's have a... Yeah, I'm happy with that. Okay, at this point, to make it easier, I think I am going to stick it to the base. So these legs were from another Terminator model that I'd already put together, which is why the feet are a little bit messy. So I put a little bit more glue on than I'd normally put on, just to melt any remnant of the last base out of the way. And while that's drying, I'm going to put it to one side and I'm going to start on the sword arm. Now, I've already found something that I want to use for that, and that is again from the Deathwings kit. It's the halberd weapon that comes with it. Please correct me for the name, I can't remember off the top of my head. But what I'm going to do is trim the left arm off with some of the handle, and then I'm going to use the top of the halberd as a bit more of a unique power weapon, and then put something as the pommel on the bottom of the sword there. So let's start by trimming it up. I'll trim more than I need on that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is trim it a little bit lower than the blade there, and then work out where exactly I want it to sit. And that's shot off. There we go. So if you can hear some noise in the background, it's just my dog wandering around. So what I'm thinking is I'm actually going to go where am I going to go? I either go at about that point, so I'll take off the top of the axe section of the halberd to put it on, or I'll go a lot lower. I mean, in the picture itself, let me bring that down, it looks quite low. I mean, it's not going to be exactly the same, as it's just a bit of an... Yeah, I'm going to go low. Okay. So I'll trim this off a bit higher than I need, and then I can trim it back. Yeah, so let's trim this back a bit. What is it, dog? So she's just woken up, my dog, and she's a bit hungry, but it's a bit too early to give her food. Now I've got a fly going around here as well, so apologise if you can hear the fly. As I said, I want to do this as a real-time video, so disturbances as well are going to be included. So what I think I'm going to do with the handle, I'm going to trim it down just to where the little bracket is on it. I'm going to find something to put on as a pommel. let's use my clippers on this. So get a nice flat base to that. While I'm here, I'm just going to clear up some mould lines. Okay, so let's glue that on, and I'll have a look at the other kits that I've got here with me to see what I can use for the pommel of the sword. Okay, let's have a look at these sprues. I know exactly which one I want, and I bet it's not here. Oh, actually, no, I have seen. That's alright. So, from the Deathwing sprue, I'm going to use the bottom of one of the maces, which has got really nice detail on it for the sword itself. So I'm just going to trim the bottom of the mace off completely. And then I'm going to cut. Let's tidy up the pommel first, and then once I've cleared that up, I'll just chop that off. And then I'm going to need to just trim this down a little bit, not too much. Then stick that on. Perfect. Okay. So what's the time now? Okay, so we're coming up to 16-17 minutes or so. Okay, yeah, I'm happy with that. Quite a nice, unique weapon. Let's stick it onto the character itself. So I'm going to bring that back slightly. Make sure the pommel's in the right place. I've knocked the pommel, so let me just undo that quickly. Those grabbing those glue threads in the air. Okay, so here we have this model so far. Right, what I'm going to do, I think I've got a head in mind. That I'll find that on one of the sprues I've got here. Also, going to have to include the back banner, so let's get that as well, and I need to sort out a shoulder pad. So let's start with a pile of sprues. So the head I'm going to go for, this is from the Intercessor kit, and that's that head just there. Just twist that off. And something I have to do to the head immediately, because it is not a Space Marine, this is going to be an Inquisitor. So I tidy up the mould line. Luckily on the left hand side of the head there is an ear, whereas on the right hand side we have the comms on. Can't really see it in the image, so it's going to be okay for that. But I want to make sure I get rid of the forehead stud, which shows how long the Marine has been a Marine. And with a little scrape of the scalpel, we now have the Inquisitor's head. So I'm going to put a, before I put the glue in, I'm going to see if it fits. That would be awkward if it didn't. That's okay, cool, it does fit. So let's put some glue in now. And let's get this head in. Okay, so I think I will have to do a little bit of sculpting on this later on to create the beard that is on the artwork. But I'm quite happy for now just to leave as is. Now, for this left shoulder, I do have the option. From the old Terminator kit, there was an Inquisitorial shoulder pad. And if I put that on, oops, it does immediately scream Inquisitor because of the Inquisitorial look, but it doesn't quite match the artwork. So what I think I'm going to do, I'm just going to get, again from the old Terminator kit, one of the smooth right shoulder pads, and I'm just going to put it on the left shoulder. I know that there's a notch cut out of it on the front normally, but I'm not going to worry if it's in the wrong place on this model. Yeah, no, I'm happy with that. I'm going to use the smooth one. Let's put some glue on the shoulder. Put that on there. Yeah, I don't mind if that doesn't quite match there. I don't mind that there's a gap on the back. I can fill that in later with some green stuff. Okay, so next thing I want to do is find a back banner, and I think I have got the choice of two. So this is the old Space Marine Command sprue, which has a plain back banner, and then this is one which has a little bit more of a detailed back banner, but as the image is quite a simplistic one, I think I'll go with this one. What I will most likely do is trim the skull off the top, because there isn't a top to the banner pole in the artwork. So although it's not going to be exactly the same, it's going to be as close as I can get it without doing any heavy modifications to the parts. Okay, so let's carefully trim the skull off and tidy up that pole. Apologies, the dog is hungry. So what I think I'll do from that halberd, that's the door. Stay there, dog. Hi there. Cheers. Thank you. Well, that was an Amazon delivery with some brass tube that I need for a future conversion project. And like I said, I'm doing this real time, so I'm going to include all the disturbances that I have in this video. But yeah, the top of that halberd I'm going to cut off, and I'm going to stick on the top of the banner pole. I like that, that's nice. Right, let's now stick the banner on top of the Terminator. Try not to move this when I've got it in place. There we go. Okay, so now while I'm here, let's have a look at the different combi weapon options that I've got from various kits that will fit on this sprue. So I have melter guns, plasma guns, grav guns, do have a flamer. Now what does this, I mean, I could do a little bit of chopping and changing to make a psi cannon like that, a psi gun combi, or I just use one of the things that I've already got to put on there. I'm going to use one of the things I've already got. I can always take it off. And I think what I'm going to go with might go with the grav gun, which is that one there. In the new 40k it doesn't make too much of a difference which one you go for. I think from my memory they still cause devastating wounds. But, okay. Let's see what it looks like. What I will do is I'm only going to tack it on with a small amount of glue, and then if I want to replace it later on, I can do. So, right. Let's just clean this up slightly. Okay, and I'm only going to tack this for now. So really small tack of glue. And then let's make sure I clear all the gunk off that. Let's position that in place. So I probably will change it later. Okay, so here we have our cover with our Inquisitor and Terminator armour, and now as we have the new Terminators and the old Terminator kits are kind of scaled down, here we have a conversion of this Inquisitor made in about half an hour or so. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. I'll probably do another video of me painting this to match the cover. I may tweak the combi weapon and add a few more details like the beard and things later on. But for now I'm going to call this video and leave it at that. I'll put some photos at the end so you can see a bit more of a close-up of this conversion, this kit bash. But yeah, that's it. Thanks for tuning in. My name's John and you've been watching War Games, Models and Other Hobbies.